Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Your Kids podcast. And today we have with us Ruth. Ruth, introduce
Hi,
yourself.
hi, my name is Ruth Douthitt, and I am in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm an author and teacher and all good stuff like that. And I also have a podcast too. So my heart goes out to you, all podcasters. I know what it takes to keep it going. So thank you so much for having me to talk about myself and my writing, and look forward to the convention next year. That's going to be awesome.
Yes, yes. I'm excited. Share something about what you do. You're a teacher.
Yeah, I taught middle school for a while, and before that, I taught college. But in middle school, I
You
taught
went from
writing.
college to the trenches. You went
Yes,
from
right. I don't know what I was thinking,
what?
but
Oh my gosh,
it's
yes.
quite a difference to teach adults and then to teach kids. But
Not even just kids, but hormonal kids,
yeah,
chemically imbalanced kids.
ooh,
Like,
yep,
that's a change time. Middle
it
school is rough.
was. My heart went out to them, though. I remember that time. And how difficult it was. And you couldn't pay me $1 million to go back and go through all that again. No way.
Right?
So
So
my heart went
awkward.
out to them. Yeah, it was quite a trial, but we had fun too. I wanted to make sure that when I taught writing, that I made it fun. And so
Nice.
I would get the kids out of their seats and moving around the room, and we would do all these kinds of fun projects. Because I'm an artist, I also wanted to make them about art too. And so I had them, creating things and writing plays, putting on plays for the little kids. And so I wanted my students to see that writing is more than just sitting down and writing an essay, and which can be boring and hard work.
Very.
So that
Hmm.
was my goal, and I did it for 4 years. That was a blast. And now I'm back at the university. I work at Grand Canyon University now. I don't teach right now, but it was fun for a time. I needed a break, as you know. It can wear you
Yeah.
down. So now I feel refreshed and excited. So, but I'm also an author. I started off writing books for middle school kids. So that was
Hmm.
fun to talk to them about writing, and then actually bring in my book for them to see that I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And
Oh my gosh.
they're like, "You wrote a book?" And I said, "Yeah." But it was good to show them the writing process, how you start with the brainstorm of a story, and then you follow it all the way to the end. And I would show them, my manuscript all marked up with red ink by my editor, so they could see that it's okay to make mistakes. You're going to make
Nice.
mistakes. And but they would
Yes.
see that it is a process. So I wasn't asking them to do anything that I wasn't doing myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that helped them see that I wasn't just this boss standing up there shouting orders at them. But I've been to the trenches, and I knew what it was like. So yeah, that's what I did for 4 years. But now I'm back at the university. I write curriculum now, but I still write stories for
Mm.
kids. I still do fantasy stories for kids, and now I'm doing coloring books for kids. So it's fun
Oh,
to
nice.
blend my art and my writing skills together. So yeah, that's a little bit
Cool.
about me. I live in Phoenix with my husband of 35 years. We have an adult son, and we were born and raised out here. So this is home for
Oh,
us.
nice. Okay. Oh, you've been in the desert.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice, nice. So when you taught in Phoenix?
Yes, at Valley Academy Charter School. Cute little
Oh, you
school.
taught at okay. At
Yeah,
a
so
charter
small.
school.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
also
because when
taught
I
I also did some writing workshops for homeschool kids for those co-ops, where they'd have 20 or 30
mhm.
kids. And that was fun too.
Oh yes. Okay, nice. And what is your take on writing? Like, how do you even approach that? Because getting kids to write is difficult.
Oh, yes. And I told him, when I was a student, I didn't really like writing. I liked writing book reports and things like that, but writing a story or writing an essay, meh. So I did sympathize with them. I told them, I know it's work, and work is not fun, but we're going to make it fun. So I had, state standards that I had to assess, and that's always a bummer, but you could do it in a fun way. So I try to approach it as creative as I possibly could. So we had to use the rubric, the 6 traits of writing rubric. And when we got to word choice, I had them do a fun exercise where you take a word like home and explain what that means to you and things like that. So the connotative meaning. And so then I would have them, what does cowboy mean to you? What does Cardinals mean to you? What does Yankees mean to you? And they were like, what? You're talking about sports teams. I said, exactly. That's
No,
what you could do with the
nice.
word, right? So I had them create sports logos for their favorite team, but putting like a different spin on it. So I'd give them the word wasps. And then they would do a hockey logo and a hockey jersey design. So that got the boys really excited about it. I found that the girls were a little bit more used to writing stories and essays, but the boys, not so much. So by having them learn word choice and the importance of words by creating a sports team logo and then a sports team jersey, that made the difference. That got them the buy-in, and now they were all invested. And then I made it a contest between the classes. So things like that. But I would take them through the writing process, like brainstorming an idea, and I would model it for them. I'd have on the screen, my brainstorm for a book idea and a character. And to make it fun, I would use their names, for my story.
Oh,
That
nice.
got them interested. And I said, and his mom's name was Carolyn, and they'd say, "Oh, Carolyn," and then they'd tease her, "You're the mom." Things like that. So, it just made it got more of an investment from them. They were more interested, and if I did it that way. But the state standards required essays, and so I told them, sorry, we do have to write an essay. And that's
Right.
what my principal wanted them. But for the 8th graders, I would always tell them in high school, you're going to have to write, especially in college. And I taught college, so I know what I'm talking about. You have to know how to write. And so that
I've
kind
been
of
to
got
the upper
them
league,
interested,
guys. I've
right?
been there.
Yeah. So that kind of helped them to pay attention a little bit more when they saw that everything I was teaching them was going to be important in their academic career. And so I had to teach, the boring stuff, MLA citations and sentence structure and essay structure, But I heard from a lot of them when they went off to high school, they would email me and say, Mrs. Douthitt, I got an A on my essay, and it was so easy to write because of how you taught us how to do it. So that always melted
Isn't
my
that
heart.
so fulfilling? Yes, that is so beautiful. I
It was like a
love
little
it.
pat on the back,
Right? That you don't get from administration.
Right?
Yeah, let you know, okay, I am making my difference. I'm doing
Hmm.
something. Even
Yeah.
though
There's a
it doesn't
method
feel
to the
like it all the
madness.
time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes,
So,
indeed. So
yeah.
what kind of books do you write?
Oh, yeah. Well, I started off writing fantasy for middle grade readers. So I write books about dragons and
Okay.
castles and knights and things. So I started with The Dragon Forest. That came out in 2011. And then I made that a trilogy. So I love writing fantasy, but then I also wrote a YA book for kids about a girl struggling with grief, the loss of her mom. And
Oh,
then I wrote another book called The Cafeteria Club, which has an anti-bullying message in it too. And that's for like
oh,
3rd graders
nice.
on up. Yeah. So I really wanted to have themes and messages in my books uh, of hope. I know a lot of books sometimes for kids nowadays or YA books tend to go dark,
Mm,
but I didn't want to do that with mine. I wanted to provide hope, for the kids. So I have like running themes of loyalty and devotion and hope and the ordinary being called to do the extraordinary,
oh,
things like
nice.
that in
Yes,
my
I love
fantasies.
that. Very important. I know my girls are these just regular novels or graphic novels?
They're just regular novels. Yeah.
Okay. My
Yeah.
9-year-old is really into the graphic novels right now. She had us in Walmart last night looking for something because I just got her one called Guts. don't know the author, but it was cute. Just talking about a 10-year-old and her transitioning and puberty and things of that nature. So she read it in 2 days. Really shocked me
Wow.
because I
Wow.
know I was
That's
like, okay,
great.
you want another one? Let's find it. Come on, I'll
Yeah.
go on this hunt with you. So I wish I knew the author, but I don't. Um, but graphic novels seem to be like, a big thing right now
They
with the
are
pictures going
very
through.
popular.
Because I
Mhm.
even seen that they redid the Babysitter Club books.
As a
I not
graphic novel?
as graphic
Wow.
novels.
That's
Yes,
cool.
yes.
I'll probably have
So
to start doing that with some of mine too. I know it is
I they
it's
want
very
to see the
visual.
pictures.
Yeah,
Yes.
kids are very visual right now. My second series of dragon books, I illustrated those. So I do have some illustration in those, and mostly for that reason, because I know kids are very visual right
Yeah.
now. So I wanted to add some of those illustrations for those kids that kind of need that. And then I did some coloring books for that reason too, because I know kids love to color and create. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the trend right now, the graphic novels. But that's good. I mean, if it gets kids to read, then bravo, you
That's
know.
right. That's my whole goal, my whole objective. Because I've bought all types of books, but that seems to be what she's on right now. Like, the oh yeah. And okay. I'm always trying to get her to write her own. Like that's always my
Yeah,
my
there
try
you
to
go.
like write your own. Like she's
Yeah,
imaginative being. Oh my goodness, the stories that she tells. Like she
wonderful.
says she remembers being in my womb, Ruth. So
Wow.
yeah, wow, Ruth.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Um
Yeah, she's got to write some stuff down before she loses it, before she forgets
right.
these things.
Yeah, yeah. You're in the womb. Like tell people about it.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
amazing.
like I said, she has a great imagination, and I definitely tried to push her towards the like put it on paper, like share your stories, not just with me, share with
Yeah,
the world.
definitely. That's what
So,
starts. I interview a lot of authors and I always ask them, what got you started? And they all say, I was a big reader when I was in school. And then I
mm,
had a journal and I started writing things down. And then by the time they got to high school or college, they wrote their first book. So yeah, definitely encourage her to write all that down.
indeed, it's needed. Our lovely creatives, and I love it. So you got trilogies out there. Are these big, thick Harry Potter type style books? Or are they kind of
Not that big. Um, but the Dragon Forest series, I think, is for 10-year-olds on up. I was really inspired by the King Arthur stories and the Lord of the Rings, of course, and a little bit of Harry Potter
mm,
stories. I wrote them mostly for my son because when he was little, there really wasn't a whole bunch out there, and a lot of boys leaned heavily toward the nonfiction, like science books and facts, sports facts, and all that stuff.
mm,
He had all of
the
those
World
books, but
Genesis books and
right,
things like
yes, he
that?
had
Yes.
all of those, and he would just devour them. But I wanted to create maybe a series about a kid, a boy who, is thrust into this adventure and has to, save the kingdom type of thing, so that he could see that boys can be brave too. And so the story follows Peter, who's a prince, and he's kind of frustrated because his father, as king, is really, really busy. He doesn't have a lot of time for him. His mother has died, so it's just him. He's an only child in this
Oh
massive
man.
castle, and he wants adventure. So he thinks if he goes into the forest and slays this dragon for its scales, then he'll have adventure, he'll have his father's attention, and he'll be a real prince. But what he finds when he enters the forest is it wasn't exactly what he thought it was going to be. And the dragon isn't this mean, scary creature, but it's very intelligent and is there to protect his father's kingdom. But what Peter also doesn't understand is when he entered the forest, he unleashed this darkness all
Mm.
over the kingdom. And so he spends the next two books trying to contain that darkness to get it all
Oh
back in
wow.
and save his father's kingdom. So he learns, like King Arthur, when he pulled the sword out of the stone, he learns that he has a destiny he didn't realize existed. And now he has to fulfill that destiny. And in doing so, like most boys, he learns what his true purpose is. He learns that what it means to be a prince and what it means to be a king. and it has a different meaning than what he thought. So, so there's a lot of life lessons in the story. But I wanted to make my dragons not these really scary, ugly beasts, but that they're beautiful and intelligent, and they speak a language, and they have their own culture, their own way of life. And some are trained to be cruel and mean and ugly, and others are very beautiful, and they want to live alongside the elves and the men and live in peace. So Peter learns these powerful lessons along the way about the dragons. And so the second series I'm doing is mostly about the dragons and how they live along with the elves, and how some are abused and abducted and forced to do what they don't want to do, and others are, brave and strong. And so a lot of my readers have said that they really like that, because some of the stories out there now have the dragons as the enemies, but mine aren't. Mine are, kind and generous. So
nice. It sounds like you have a lot of different, morals. You touch on a lot of morals, ethics, values, things of that nature.
Yes.
Very important, especially for the age range that you're writing for.
Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. That is so
Thanks.
needed.
Thank you.
And showing purposeful characters and letting and reminding young men that they have a purpose and they have something that they can carry out and they can do. What solution do you need to provide?
There you
I
go.
love that. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
What is your writing process? Like, how do you even begin? Are you one of those got to get tucked away authors? Like you got to go on a retreat for a little bit, or?
Yeah, I do. Writing fantasy is pretty tough. A lot of people don't understand that. They think writing for kids and writing fantasy, oh, that's easy. But it's really hard because you have to build this world that doesn't exist,
And
So my
details are
process,
needed.
yes, and they have to be consistent, because readers are very smart, and they'll find the
What? They pay attention to
inconsistencies.
everything. Yeah.
They'll let you know. My students used to let me know all the time. But I just start off with a brainstorm. I get the idea, and then I have to really work hard on creating that world. So it takes a little bit more time to write a fantasy series. And then, you have to come up with the setting and the political system, the magic system, and if there's a spirituality system, and you have to, of course, start to craft the really complex characters. And then you start to decide on how the story's going to go. So it takes a little bit more time for me, but I am one of those who has to sit down and really like seclude myself and get it done. I have done a few retreats, and those are so helpful. But I also write women's contemporary fiction, and that's easier because you don't have to create the world. The world already exists, right?
Yes.
So that goes a lot faster. But when I write fantasy, it's definitely a process. I do the first draft. It's horrible, the rough draft is horrible. But then I give it to my editor, and she finds all these mistakes and lets me know when something doesn't make sense. And then she sends it back to me. Then I make all my revisions and add the missing pieces or delete some stuff that isn't needed. And it's kind of difficult, but you have to do it. And then that's usually when I start illustrating. After the book's all done, I'll start doing some illustrations to plug in to chapters. And I design my own covers, so that's kind of fun. As an artist, I get to do that. So that's a fun process too. And then I publish it, and I like to remind my students and anybody in my workshops that it is a process, and you have to allow for it to be that process. And if you're a planner, plan well, do everything that's needed to plan it out, and just allow yourself some time. And it's okay to make mistakes. I know a lot of kids think, no, if I make a mistake, I'm a failure. No, that's not true. We all make mistakes. So allow for that. But it is a process.
I hear it. I know it. I've always been an avid writer and reader.
Okay.
Not, definitely it faded more once I got older.
Yeah.
But elementary school, I was a writer. I wrote a chapter book. Wrote a couple little books, where my classmate did the illustration. I've never been like a drawer really, but my classmate did the illustration and stuff, things of that nature. And I've published a book in my adulthood. It's not for kids though. Not for kids, right? It's just like a short memoir about like the first quarter of my life, basically.
Yeah.
Cute. Um, I've started some other books, but like you said, it's a process.
Yes.
And I don't feel like
It
I'm
is.
where I need to be able to focus on it. But I
Mm.
do have the ideas and I do have the intention, and I know it's gonna come out when it does come out. But I'm a
Yeah.
writer. Like I actually have to physically write things first, like
Okay.
out in a notebook, and then
Yeah.
I type it up. And I'm one of those. Need to
Yeah.
get with the times type. You know, because people are talking out books right about now on the microphone, like, and I'm still trying to write down and all that good stuff. So I
That's
know,
good.
like,
That's
I'm
good
gonna get
though.
there.
Yeah, you will.
Writing is definitely a process. So for you to have like what you're creating, like you said, fantasy is like a whole nother level because of all
Oh
of
yeah.
the
Oh my
different
gosh.
elements that go with it, because you have the potentiality for it to be a book one. I mean, not a book, but a
Yeah.
movie one day.
Yeah, right.
And you know, you got to make sure you cover everything so the kids can be
Right.
like, hey, this is different. Hey, it didn't happen like that in
Exactly.
the book. You know,
Yeah,
I love that.
exactly.
I love that.
They're good. Those
Yes. And
readers
you
are
said you
good.
mentioned workshops. You host workshops, writing
Yeah,
workshops.
I have a few friends who are homeschool parents, and so they'll have co-ops, and I've done a few workshops on oratory analysis, and there's a few competitions out here for that. So there's a few grade school and high school students who participate. So I did speech analysis, oratory analysis, and then writing workshops, things like that, rhetoric, the rhetorical square workshops, things like that, because a lot of the students find the value in that when they get to college. There are a lot of debate teams, there's a lot of speech teams.
Mm,
And so a few of my students were able to go on and get scholarships, full ride scholarships, to college. So
mm,
oratory analysis and speech, debate, all of that is so important. I love teaching that for students. I taught it when I taught it for my 8th graders, and one of my students got full ride scholarship to Princeton, or I'm sorry, Yale University for her
oh
debate team.
my.
Yeah, she went on to do debate. So yeah, I love teaching that. So it just inspires kids, now that I work in the university and write curriculum, we try and make sure we have presentations in our assignments. So they're not just writing essay after essay, but they have to get up in front of a group of people and present, because that is a skill that is on its way out. And we don't
Mm.
want that to happen. So many kids now are on social media or they're doing TikTok and things, and they don't understand that a lot of employers now, we've talked to the city of Phoenix economic, head of economic development, and she said a lot of employers now throughout the country are looking for people who can stand up and present,
Mm.
effectively communicate something. And she said when she sent out a survey to the city of Phoenix that 90% of the employers responded that their employees are not very good at effective communication.
Wow.
That's a high number, right?
That is a I was wondering where
Woo!
it was gonna be, but 90%. Oh my
90% of the employers
gosh.
said, no, my employees are not experienced in this area. So the more we can teach our young students to get up and stand in front of a class and present a concept or a subject effectively, without saying like and and you have to be able to effectively communicate an idea. The better off they're going to be when they get to high school and college. That's going to be expected of them more than they know. So it's not just writing, but speaking. So yeah, I like to teach those to students, whether it's in schools, workshops at the library or homeschool co-ops. I really like to stress the importance of being able to effectively communicate an idea that's
Yeah.
going to serve them well.
Yes, I agree. Because if not, that they're just gonna go through their day to day without ever really expressing anything outward.
Yeah.
That I think that goes with the what am I thinking of? Like, how basically standing up for yourself.
Mhm.
Like to something look
Yeah, defend
short.
an idea. Yeah, defend
Yeah.
an idea, defend yourself. We're losing that skill. I think we've seen over the years. I think Twitter and all that social media has really kind of damaged our critical thinking skills. We are lacking the ability to defend an idea, to create an argument. So I used to teach my
Mm.
students that in debate. They loved it. And you could see when the light would go on and they get it. So I would tell the parents, I'm making your students, more effective arguers. So when they get home, they're going to really know how to argue. And the parents were like, no, don't do
Why are
that.
you doing this? I thought you liked us. What do you mean?
But I
Yeah,
had a
I feel
couple of
like
students come to me and say, Mrs. Douthitt, I need your help. I want to ask my mom and dad for a cell phone. Can you
oh
help
goodness.
me form an argument that I can defend, to get a cell phone from them? And I was so impressed by that. I said, okay, remember, let's use facts and not emotions. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't go to them and say, well, my friends have one. No, 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 we're not going to go there.
Mm-hmm.
So do some research and find some facts. So she came back with some excellent research. And she
I
told her
like that.
parents, you'll have control. I'll only use it for this, this, this. I won't have, if you don't want me to have internet, I don't have to have the internet. But this is why I want a cell phone. And she presented her case very, very well. And so she got the cell phone. Her parents were like very impressed with her argument. And my son too, he came to us and he was like, I don't think I want to go to college. And we were like, what? You're crazy. But he put forth a really excellent argument, and it wasn't
Nice.
based on emotions. It was based on the research that he did. And, he got a full-time job and he's been working full-time ever since. And he's done very well with just a high school diploma. He wants to go to school now. He's in school now. But at the
Yeah.
time, he presented it effectively. He wasn't
Yeah.
going on emotion. So, if we could raise more kids to be able to do that, not use emotions, but fact and logic, right? And ethics, like you said, then I think we're going to have a really good generation. The next generation is going to be really
I
good.
know. I feel like these homeschoolers are definitely like changing the game with a lot of things because parents
Yes.
are definitely paying attention to a lot. And me and my friend joke all the time about our kids being so opinionated, like little opinionated kids over here expressing themselves, like telling you how they feel and what they think and stuff. Like generation before us, they don't want to hear that. Like my mom don't want to hear like what you talking about. Like you're 9, hush. Like you're 7, go to bed. I said it
Right?
because I said
Yeah,
so. Like,
I
and they're
know.
like, but why? Like, why would
Right.
you say that? Like,
Yeah.
why? But why would we have to do that? And I
Hmm.
love it. I love that, it doesn't always feel so great in the moment, but when you sit and reflect on it, like just knowing that your child's not going to just allow anyone to tell them anything and
Hmm.
they just go along with it even if they know it's not right or it doesn't feel right for them or logically or
Exactly.
factually it's not
Right.
a good thing.
Yeah.
So very important. And I know that this generation that's coming up, I always commend like the younger parents and things that like they're game changers. They
Mhm.
really don't understand how much they're changing the game with the quote unquote gentle parenting or the
Yeah.
conscious parenting or anything that is just allowing your child to express themselves without feeling like they got to stay in a child's place.
Hmm.
Like I think that's so important and I love
It
that.
is. It is.
Yes. So I'm glad he was able to come and articulate, college, I hear you guys, but it's not really necessarily for me. And these are my
Yeah.
reasons why.
Yeah. I mean, we were shocked. We were both in higher education. We're like,
Right.
seriously, we both have 2 degrees, and you're telling us you don't want to go to college? Are you crazy?
Right.
But like I said, if a young person can present their case and they've shown that they've done the research and they're not going by emotion, but they really are putting forth a solid argument, you you can't help but listen to them. And
Yeah.
he made a really good argument. So we showed him that we trusted him. And
Nice.
this is like what, 12 years later, he's doing really well. So
Nice.
yeah, and I think the friends who I have who are homeschool parents, they're doing the same thing. They hire us, other teachers, to come in from the outside to stand before their students and say, this is what you need to learn. Why? Because I'm seeing out there in the real world,
Mm-hmm.
this is what employers are looking for. So it's not enough to just have a degree anymore. You have to back it up with X, Y, and Z. And that's why I'm here. So when I would present it like that, you could see in their faces, they went from, rolling their eyes to
Yeah, right.
like staring at you like, really? And I'm like, really? You need to
Yes.
learn this skill, whatever, writing skill or speaking skill. But as long as
Yes.
as long as you're letting your students know you're not wasting their time, I think
Yeah.
that works the best.
Yes. Yes. In the classroom, that was my thing. Especially I had seniors, my last couple years. And so that was they're really big on like, what are we doing? Why
I
are we
know. They're
here?
like, oh, why are we here?
We've been doing this for years and years and years. Like
Right?
this is the end. Like once they become seniors, they don't be wanting to do
I
anything.
know. Ugh.
And
And I
I
guess
don't
we
blame
were like
them.
that too. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like
but
that.
look, I don't blame them by all
Well, that's
means.
checking out.
Yeah, no, definitely have. I've been checked out. I checked out before I even got here. Like
Yeah.
this is like this is like a bonus year. I don't even know why I'm here besides prom and graduation. Most seniors, that's all they're thinking about is like what dress
Mhm.
they're gonna wear, what your car
Right.
they're gonna drive for prom, things
Yeah.
of that nature. What you're talking about, they're not trying to hear that. Like, man, we've been talking about pronouns and nouns and predicate sentences. Like we've been doing all that stuff for 11 plus years. Okay, leave me alone.
Yeah. Like I'm
And
done. I'm
let me scroll on this
checked off.
phone real
Yeah.
quick.
I turned off my brain. I'm done. And I don't blame them. I was like that too.
I know, but I was really big on the not wasting time either. So we built the resumes. I showed them
Yep.
how to build websites. We did newspaper
Wonderful.
article, like where we created magazines together online. I
Wonderful.
did a lot of technology driven things because
Yes.
that's where I
Good.
saw, everything heading towards. So
Mhm.
it's just like, okay, well, let us, you know,
Good for you. That's
go
awesome.
online. Go online.
That's right. Job applications. I used to have them fill out a job application and read a calendar, create a calendar. And they'd all, like ask me, why are we doing this again? And I tell them it's called functional text and you need to know how to do it. And once they fill out a
Then in
job
the
application,
email,
right, they'd say, oh yeah, I used to have them email me. Can you send me
mhm,
this? Can you send me that? Mr. Douthitt, can you do? And I'd be like, that's not a proper email for it to be
mm,
sending an adult. I've
I need a
shown you
greeting.
how to do it. Yes. And then they'd send it back. Dear Mrs. Douthitt, can you please send me the, there you go. Much better.
Yes,
And
yes.
even at work, I get these emails from people, do this, do that. And I'm like, oh, geez. All right,
Right?
we're
Like,
trying to teach our kids not to do it.
can I get a
And
good
the adults
morning?
are doing it. I know. Can you ask me how I'm doing? Jeez.
Hope all is well. Like, goodness. Yes. It's
Uh,
amazing to see, like, some of the skills that a lot of adults definitely didn't get to take in as younger. And that makes you pay attention. Like you said, 90% of employers have said, like, nah, people aren't
mhm.
advocating, people aren't standing up, people aren't
They
saying
don't know
or
how to
articulating
talk.
themselves
I
in any kind of
know.
way.
Gosh, they don't know how to put together a presentation. Oops.
Yeah,
That's not good.
that's it stunts you. It just, like I said, it just
Yes.
allows you to just get into the race and just
Right?
coast on by
I
without really
know.
ever, I don't know.
Who wants
You
to
get
do
on
that?
autopilot. Like, oh, well, they
And
said to do
Jen,
this.
another thing that I really stress to folks listening is we need to make sure our students are problem focused but solution based. They really need
Yeah.
to think about a solution. I know I tend to kind of be a complainer and I complain all the time, but it's okay as long as you're also focusing on solutions. So don't just
Yes.
point out problems all the time, but
Yes.
propose a solution. So, and our son was doing that where he works. He found himself always pointing out problems. And then he said one day his manager said, "Okay, great. What's the solution?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I got nothing." So his
Oh my
boss,
gosh, I
yeah, right.
know.
His boss encouraged him to go home and think of a solution to the problem. And so our son did. And I said, "Well, that's great, but make sure you propose it, that solution." He goes, "Well, what if they don't do it?" I said, "Well, that's on them. Your job is just to
Mhm.
propose the solution to your managers. If they don't do it, well, that's their problem." And so he
Yes.
did, and they ended up doing what he proposed, and it solved the problem. So we need to try and encourage our kids to do that more often. Don't just
Yes,
complain, but
ma'am.
think of a solution to a problem. And I would
Mhm.
tell my students, because they'd all complain about, Blu-ray. Blu-ray was popular back then when I taught. Why can't we record on Blu-ray? We can only play a Blu-ray, but why can't we use it to record? I said, why don't you invent something that does that? Invent
Mm.
a Blu-ray machine that records,
Yeah.
what you're doing on TV. And you can just see in their eyes, oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, propose an
Yeah.
idea. I mean, now we have self-driving cars because someone proposed that, right?
Mhm.
We had TiVo and the DVR because someone wanted to record what they were seeing on television. And now, of course, we have streaming apps. Think of the person who invented those. They're billionaires
Mhm.
now.
I think
So
about the DoorDash and the Instacart
I
people.
know, isn't that brilliant?
What
Oh,
is it?
during COVID, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh. Like to start a business
Brilliant.
that you don't have to have any employers really. You don't have to have
Yes,
anything besides the technology to
just
bring
that app.
everything together. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're bridging. That's it.
Isn't
I
that
think that's like the
amazing?
dopest thing ever. Yes.
I know. And I kept telling my son, we need to have a DoorDash just for cake and donuts. Someone who can just bring cake and donuts to my door. He goes, Mom, invent
Sweet
it. I'm
Dash.
like, you're
Yes. I love that. But yes, the
right.
problem and solution, because we are
Mhm.
definitely a problem-driven society.
Yes, I
The
know.
solution, I have a friend who says that if the problem is in you, the solution is in you also. And I love
Yes.
her saying that all the time. She's a mindset coach too.
So,
But if the problem's in you, the solution is in you also. My
yes.
girls would tell you when they're arguing or something like they're in disagreement about something, I'd be like, okay, well, what's the solution? Like, and I
Hmm.
say it so much so that they now say it. Like they'll be saying something and then I hear them say, okay, what's the solution?
Oh,
Yes,
that's
don't bring it to
amazing.
me because that's all I want
See,
to know. What's the solution?
yeah,
Okay.
what is the solution? Okay,
Because
great.
I hear the problem,
Show
but
the
I don't.
problem. Yeah.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is another thing, another skill that our students need that's going to take them far in
It
life
is.
if they
And
can be
understand that
solution
goes with your
based,
purpose. Like
right?
you're seeing all these problems, you're noticing all these issues, and you may be the only one noticing certain things.
That's
And
right.
so when you present that solution, you are being the change.
Yeah.
You're setting off another course and you're fulfilling your
Yes,
purpose, whatever it was meant for you to be doing here. So
exactly. Being
yes.
proactive, it's easy to just be passive, but be
Yes.
proactive. And
Yes.
like I said, if the manager doesn't like your idea, well, that's on them. Your
Mm-hmm.
job is to propose the idea, and
Yes,
they
yes.
want to implement it, great. But yeah, so, and that's what I try to do in my stories too, because Peter in the Dragon Forest, he sees that a lot of the dragons are being abducted and taken to this mountain prison, and they're being forced to fight each other and, to the death. And
Mm.
so he wants to solve that problem by freeing all the dragons. And of course, that makes him an enemy of the prison warden who will lose a lot of money if all of his dragons are freed. But
Gonna
Peter
say that
doesn't.
doesn't cost efficient.
Yes, exactly. So, but Peter doesn't care. He just wants to free these dragons who are, fighting in the arena. So, just trying to put those themes in these stories for kids to see for themselves is really important to me. So,
Nice, nice. I love that. I love that. I love that you're so prevalent in the homeschool community with what you do,
Yeah.
especially with your knowledge and background and education already, and being in the higher up and being
Yeah.
able to talk to kids and say, hey, I'm not just talking this, I'm here, like I'm in the college world. If that's where you're heading, I'm just telling you some of the things they're
Right.
looking for. And that's very, very helpful. Very, very
Good.
helpful.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
That's why I'm excited
So,
about the conference next year. I want to put together a guide for parents to use for their kids, about how to draft a story and create characters of value and complexity and stuff. So yeah.
yes, we have so many little mini writers walking around, illustrators too. Oh my gosh, some of my students used to be some of the most profound illustrators. And it's like, you're walking in the hall with this? Like, does
Right.
anybody know about this?
I
Like,
know.
oh my
See?
gosh, share this, share this. But the confidence in a lot of students is just oh, it's not good
Mhm.
enough. Oh, it's not. Oh, I'm just like, oh
It's
no,
real
this,
for us too, and I think social media has perpetuated that too much. It's so hard.
yeah.
I follow a lot of artists on Instagram, and they're posting their beautiful work. But one guy, he's only in his 30s, and he said, "I need a break because this is just getting too much. I find that I
Mm,
have to post something every single day, and it's just draining my creativity." And
mm,
so he had to take a break, and I thought, and he was all anxious about having to take a break because then he knows he might lose followers, and that's bad. And I just, oh, my heart broke for him because
mm.
there's so many artists out there who have put this pressure on themselves. Like you said, they might post something and they don't get enough likes, and so they think,
Mhm.
oh, I mean, nobody likes my work, or it's not good enough. So then they never post anything again, they never create anything
Yeah.
again. So it's heartbreaking.
It is. It is like social media definitely plays a part in a lot of creators' minds as far as like what's popular, what is useful. I have a friend who definitely pays attention to a lot. Like she's a content creator and she pays
Mm.
attention to, all the stats and analytical stuff. Like I post on social media and I leave it like I don't even know where she's going to look at this stuff. you know? But she's telling
Right.
me like, the different engagement
Mhm.
and who's like the male versus like she pays attention to all this because this is something she does and she's passionate about. And I'm just telling her, just do it. Like, don't
Yeah.
worry about like
Mhm.
who engages, who does this. If it's on you or in you to do certain things or to share certain content or share a message, do it. Just
Mhm.
do it. Don't think about anything past. Just, hey, this is on my heart right now and I need to let this out. And just
Well
let it
said.
go.
That's
Yeah,
true.
because I don't know, all that other stuff, that's just in the way.
Yes. It
That is
just
in the
drains all
way.
that creativity from you. And
It
that's
really
sad. I see it happen
does.
to so many people. And you get that imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm not as good as
Yeah.
that person. So I just give up. No,
Yeah.
don't do that. Don't give up. You know, keep
No,
going.
please don't. Because I feel like things come to people for the reasons that they come to. It's in you because you're meant to be the one that just to relate that message or to share that idea or to build that product or whatever it is. Like it's for you to do. Like don't let anyone make you feel like you're not worthy. Like you said, the imposter syndrome. Like you can do it. It wouldn't have came to you if you couldn't. It really wouldn't have. And the
Right?
first thing it is believing in yourself, like
Yeah.
believing and knowing that you got it. And that's what this compare and contrast game that we've happened upon with that social media
Oh,
showing and you like you said, like all the different artists and all the different content creators, all the different millionaires, billionaires, all this good
mm-hmm.
stuff. It's a lie when you're comparing yourself to that stuff. It's like, no, either use that for motivation or don't look at it.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. Oh,
don't look
good
at
point. That is spot on.
it. If it's doing more harm than good, Let it
Let it
go.
go. That's
But you
right.
know, things have become such an addiction with a lot of, especially like we talk about the young people, but I feel like my generation, the 30s and 40s, I feel like they're just as addicted to social media as the teenagers that everyone
True.
always gripes on.
I
Like,
know.
nah, like this social media has got a lot of people in a tight hole. Like,
It's true.
squirrel.
You know, you're always scrolling for things like, oh, did someone like my post? Oh, I only got
Yeah.
5 likes, and she got 20 likes, and oh no, you're right.
Right. Yes. Yes. And like you said, like they don't necessarily show everything that goes into we don't show our rough drafts. We're not showing the all the papers balled up in the corner or, all the times we've had to hit backspace and delete or erase something or
Exactly.
just like we don't like there's not content creators that are showing all that. So I don't know. That's why I just don't pay attention to any of it. If it's not making me laugh, I don't really I want to laugh. All this other serious
Me
stuff.
too.
Like
I
I'm thinking
post all
about
these
serious
funny
stuff all the
things.
time. I want
I
to
know.
laugh.
I post funny memes all the time because I want to laugh too.
Yes. Yes, yes. But I appreciate everything that you are doing. I'm definitely looking forward to having you at the conference in
Yes.
Phoenix.
Yes. Yes.
Where can we find your stuff, your works?
You can go to my website at artbyruth.com and you'll see my books and my art there. And you'll learn a little bit more about me. You can sign up for my newsletter. I give away books each month. And
Oh,
so sign up for
nice.
my newsletter to find out what's coming up. And all my books are on Amazon. And yeah, I'm gonna have a podcast called A Writer's Day podcast where I talk about the writing process.
Nice.
And I also interview published authors, and their stories are so inspirational. How they
Oh,
became a published author inspires me. When I start to get down and think about giving up, I listen to these authors who have overcome amazing obstacles. I mean, obstacles that are just mind blowing. And they keep going and they keep going. And then finally, they became a published author. You know, some it took 20 years, some it took 10 years. One lady, the first try, she got published. So I think that's why I started it, is to inspire future writers out there. But yeah, so I stay busy, but I'm looking forward to the conference because, like I said, I'm going to have parent guides there. I'll have my books, but also some guides for moms and dads who want to teach writing at their homeschool co-ops and such, or if they just want to read a book with their children and explain the story to them, the writing process,
mm.
how to go about. And maybe kids like yours will actually write a story. Yay,
I
that'll be my
know we're
dream.
getting
Write
there.
it down, write it
Right.
down.
Yes. Yes. Please. Like you have me buy a notebook all the time because of what's on it or how things
Yes.
look. It's like put something inside of it
Yeah,
now. Like
right.
you got plenty of
Write
notebooks.
it down.
Now
Yeah,
put things inside of it. So
exactly.
yes, yes.
Right.
Inspiring is very important. Like these
Mhm.
kids definitely have to know. Like we want to hear what you got to say. Like share
Right.
with us. Like you're dope.
Right.
What's three things that you would share with homeschool families? And it could be on the writing process or it could be homeschooling, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just three things you would like to share and leave with homeschool families.
Well, the one homeschool mom that pops into my mind is Robin. She has 5 kids that she's homeschooled, and she's a published author too. So the one thing that she always told me is she knows each one of her kids are individuals, and so she would look at them individually as to what they like, what they don't like, because only like 3 of her 5 kids like writing. So
Mm.
she would focus on their strengths and really try and encourage them. So that's kind of my advice too. I admire parents who do that. And I have an only child, so I only have one, but I know it's hard when you've got 4 or 5 kids and you're homeschooling, right? So try and, focus in on what their likes are, their individuality, and encourage
Mhm.
them there. My mom was great at encouraging me to be an artist, so always have art supplies ready for them. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You could just go to Walmart or Home Depot or Hobby Lobby or Michael's. My mom always just went to Michael's and got me cheap stuff. But if you see
Mhm.
that they're artistic, always have art supplies available. If you see that they're writers, always have journals for them. If you see that they like graphic novels, encourage them. ask them questions. Why do you like this book? Why do you like graphic novels instead of this? Things like that. I really admire those homeschool parents who are able to do that, to really focus in on the individuality of their kids when you've got a whole mess of them at home.
Mm-hmm.
Our son is a writer and also an artist, so it was easy
Nice.
to really encourage him in that area. But things like that. And then with the writing for homeschool families to teach writing, I like to scaffold it. And what I mean by that is you start off with the easier concept first, like a thesis statement, and work on that for a while and see if they're really grasping what a thesis statement is and how to write it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would not believe how many students in the college level have no idea how to write an
What a
essay.
thesis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't know what a thesis is. So we here at Grand Canyon try and focus on teaching the writing process, starting with the easiest concept first, a thesis statement, and then show them how to research to get on a really good digital library, digital database. Pretty much every state has one. Arizona has a really good digital library for students, and teach them how to find excellent resources to cite properly in their essays. That's another skill we're seeing that a lot of college students do not have. So then there's that plagiarism, right? So
Mm.
things like that. I know AI is popular. A lot of students, a lot of schools
Chat
are,
GT
yes,
chat is it
chat
chat
GTP,
TP?
yeah.
Yes.
So we're trying to get away from that, but just those two skills, really knowing how to write a thesis statement and use it to research, to do really good research. You'll be doing your students such a service when they get into college. It'll be so easy for them to cite an MLA or APA. And then lastly, the last piece of writing advice is to explain to your kids that the rough draft is just that. It's a rough
Mm.
draft, and that it's okay that it's going to get marked up, and to have a thick skin, because again, when they get to college, they might get a professor who's going to rip it to shreds.
Mm.
And so that's tough. It's hard for adults to see our work come back
Right.
with all these comments by an editor. Whoo, it's humbling, but that's okay. We all have to
Like I'll
be
be.
humbled, right? Yeah.
Oh
It
my
took
God.
J.K. Rowling, 17 years before she finished Harry Potter and the
Mm.
Philosopher's Stone. So you have to just grow a thick skin and just remember it's okay. It's a rough draft. And the final, it's step one in reaching that final draft. So whether it's an essay or a story, a painting or a song, anything that they're working on, that first draft is not going to be the best, and that's okay.
Mm.
So that's my
Nice.
advice.
I love it. That's well needed. Well needed. Individuality. Talk about that thesis.
Right.
And hey, it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. I love that. And I appreciate you. Thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for
Thank
all that
you.
you're creating and
Oh, thank
sharing
you.
and inspiring. All of that. Thank you.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. This was fun. Thank you.
Not a worry. Thank you. And my parents, you heard her. Like, go ahead and encourage that little writer that you have next to you, that little creator, whatever it is, like even if it's a cookbook that they want to write, like just
Exactly.
encourage it, encourage it, encourage it. I'm at my brother's place and he got recipes on the wall, and I think that's just the coolest thing. He didn't do it, like,
Wow.
it was
Somebody
already here
else
when
did?
it, yeah, but it's like
Oh,
the neatest thing, like to have like wallpaper recipes. That's
yeah.
like
That is
really
cool.
cute, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen that, but yeah, things like that, like in the kitchen, like hey. But we never know the ideas that these young people are walking around. I call them little people all the time, but these young learners are walking around with. Just encourage, inspire, like motivate them to share, like by showing them that, hey, I hear you and you matter, and what you're saying is like great. So
Mm-hmm.
write it down. Write it down.
Exactly. Write it down.
But yes.
No truer
Um,
words.
yes, yes. But make sure you check out Ruth and give us your website one more time. You have social medias?
Yes, it's artbyruth.com, and I'm on Instagram at author R.A. Douthitt, and then Facebook, author Ruth Douthitt. So
Okay,
come find me
awesome.
and we'll talk about dragons and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. And remember, homeschool your kids.